在美国鹰派反中政策主导的今天，您觉得美国有可能去改变游戏规则，重新评估一中原则和对台政策吗
？I think it's important to understand what we mean when we say we, the United States, have a one China policy.
什么样的政治人物才能够解开两岸关系的僵局呢？
It's not a question of which individual is in power. It's more a question of what policies they pursue.
大家好，这里是观点，我是主持人唐琪薇。今天观点节目的嘉宾还是美国亚太政策的专家卜睿哲先生。作为前美国驻台协会的理事长，卜睿哲先生非常了解台海事务。在美国鹰派反中政策主导的今天，美国是否有可能改变游戏规则，重新评估一中原则和对台政策呢？对台海关系的前景，他是感到乐观还是悲观？接下来就让我们一起来听听卜睿哲先生的观点。我们知道，在台湾总统候选人上，美国官方从来没有为任何候选人站台，但是不少人认为美国政府更偏向于民进党执政。您的观察呢？
Well, for many Taiwan elections, the U.S. has taken the position that we are neutral concerning the election. We don't favor one party over another. And if you think about it, we have to take this position because the party that has been in power may lose. And then we have to work with the party that has been victorious. But the U.S. does have a preference, and that is that whichever party is in power, that their interests and policies are congruent with U.S. interests and U.S. policies. Generally speaking, the Obama administration was happy with the Ma administration because its interests and policies were congruent with those of the United States. I think this administration feels the same way about Tsai Ing-wen.
在这次大选中，美国起到了一个什么作用呢？
I think it was actually a fairly small role. I think that domestic issues and China issues were much more important. But, this does highlight a problem in the U.S. approach. We say we're going to be neutral, but if we're very happy with the ruling party because its interests and policies are congruent with ours, then we would probably want to take actions as a result. But if you do that, maybe you create the impression that you're not neutral at all. So we need to be careful.
您觉得美国会支持对北京采取更友善立场的台湾总统候选人吗？
This depends very much on how the United States is defining the challenge that China poses and how Taiwan defines the challenge that China is posing. I think one can say that in the Obama administration, the United States still believed that there were areas where we could cooperate with China for our respective benefits and for the benefit of the world. So climate change was one of these. The Iran agreement was another. Some work on the North Korea nuclear problem. This Trump administration has a more negative approach to China. So you have a situation where if Taiwan believes that some degree of cooperation with China is necessary or beneficial, and the United States says cooperation is naive, then there may be a disconnect between Taiwan policy and U.S. policy. I mean, if we go back to the view that some cooperation is possible, competition can be managed, that would put us more in line with sort of the approach that some Taiwan administrations have taken.
我们知道台湾总统候选人到华府来进行面试已经是一个不成文的规定。就您的观察，各种面试中，美方最关心的是哪些问题呢？
What's most important for the United States is that the interests of each Taiwan administration, the policies of each administration be congruent with our own. Not identical, but quite overlapping. Now, one way that an opposition party that's trying to gain power can reassure the United States is for the candidate to come here and have useful conversations with American officials so that we get a better understanding of that candidate's sort of approach if he or she were to become president. But it's not necessary at all. There are plenty of other ways to communicate.
我们注意到，过去3年来，美国国会通过了一系列对台湾有利的法案。这一系列的举措，是不是意味着美中新一轮的博弈中，台湾牌又将起到重要的作用呢？
First of all, concerning the legislation that the Congress has passed, if you read the text of the legislation very carefully and with an understanding of how legislation is constructed in the Congress, you will see that these bills don't do that much. They express a sentiment, they make suggestions, they require reports, but they don't really change U.S. policy. Now, the Trump administration may decide to change it along those lines anyway, but not because Congress has told it to. The one reason that this legislation is so careful not to try to order the Trump administration to do anything is that it would probably intrude on the president's authority as commander-in-chief and as chief diplomat. And I think the White House is very desirous of protecting that constitutional authority. So, is Taiwan going to be a card? I hope not. There are a couple of ways that it could be one. One is that President Trump uses Taiwan as a bargaining chip to get something he wants from China. It seemed that might be the case, even before he became president. So far, he hasn't. And I hope it stays that way. Second, if the hawks in the U.S. administration who see China as a strategic rival, who see the need to contain China, if they were to try to get Taiwan as a partner in that containment policy, that puts Taiwan in a difficult position as well, because Taiwan is still quite dependent on the mainland economy for its own prosperity. And so there might be a reluctance in going down that road with the United States.
您觉得台湾应该怎么样扮演好自己的角色呢？
One option for Taiwan, as I said, was to be part of the U.S. containment policy and to work more closely with the United States in the national security area. But Taiwan does have a stake in the Chinese economy. Taiwan benefits from broad and deep interaction with the mainland economy. It really doesn't want to have to choose between economic interdependence with China and being a security partner of the United States in a containment policy. Now, the second option for Taiwan, and I think it's more plausible, is to contribute to peace. The meaning of the word Pacific is peaceful. And so if Taiwan can contribute to peace, that's good. Now, one way it does so is by maintaining its own strength and even getting stronger than it already is. Another way is to have good relations with the United States. But another way is not to take actions that lead the leaders in Beijing to believe that the chances of unification have now fallen to zero, and that the probability of a move to Taiwan independence is going up. That is a dangerous situation in my mind.
我们知道一中原则是美国长期以来遵守的原则，但是在美国鹰派反中政策主导的今天，您觉得美国有可能去改变游戏规则，重新评估一中原则和对台政策吗
？I think it's important to understand what we mean when we say we, the United States, have a one China policy. It means a couple of things. One is that the government of the People's Republic of China is the one that we recognize, and it is the government of China that represents China in the international community. The other point is that we will have unofficial relations with Taiwan. Now, our one China policy is quite a flexible concept. It has evolved quite a lot in how it is implemented since 1979. There was a big change in 1994 with the Taiwan Policy Review. There have been other steps since then. I think there are certain kinds of actions that we might take or that we might invite Taiwan to take that are hard to square with these two fundamental aspects of the one China policy. We're not going to recognize the Republic of China again and try to have a two China policy. I think that would just create more trouble than it's worth. I think what we are more likely to see is a more gradual evolution. I think we also need to focus on what is really important in the U.S.-Taiwan relationship. Now, I actually think that while what happens in the diplomatic area and the security area is important, and we need to think about how those activities relate to the one China policy, what is most important for Taiwan now is our economic relationship. And if we see Taiwan as an important partner of the United States, then we should treat it better when it comes to economic policy.
一般认为，中国现在已经把眼光放眼到2024的台湾大选，并且会寻求在台湾可以合作的对象。就您看来，目前在中国和台湾，什么样的政治人物才能够解开两岸关系的僵局呢
？First of all, I think it's way too early to tell that who is going to emerge in the 2024 contest. I think that the campaign for 2024 has already begun, but we need to see how that evolves. I am skeptical that it will be possible to break the deadlock in relations between the two sides of the strait. This is not a question of which individual is in power. It's more a question of what policies they pursue and whether there is a good bit of overlap and convergence in Taiwan's basic policies and mainland's basic policies. I think we also have to remember that the mainland has a pretty comprehensive set of goals, and we cannot expect Beijing to be responsive if a government in Taiwan was to say, okay, we accept the 1992 consensus, let's just go back to the way things were in the first Ma administration. For Beijing, the 1992 consensus was a useful formula for the first stage in peaceful development. It applied to economic and social relations, but not to political relations. I think the main problem is that the basic policies of the two sides are in conflict with each other, and so you can change the people, but it doesn't change that basic fact. Until one or the other side fundamentally changes its approach, nothing's going to happen. I personally think that it's Beijing that should change its approach because what it's offered so far has no market.
您认为对参与美中台三方来说，局面是否会越来越恶化？有没有解套的方法呢？
If this situation is going to improve, then a couple of things have to happen. I think, first of all, Beijing either needs to drop or change its preconditions so that a genuine chance of productive coexistence between the two sides of the strait. Number two, I think Beijing needs to stop the intimidation and pressure they've been engaged in. If we could just get back to the sort of status quo that existed in the first part of the Ma administration, that would be a good thing.
总的来说，您对两岸关系的前景是乐观的还是悲观的？
Well, I'm rather pessimistic. First of all, as I've said, China is not adjusting to reality. Opinion on Taiwan is evolving. Each generation of young people has new and different ideas about Taiwan itself and their future and Taiwan's future with China. But the approach that Beijing still pursues is one country, two systems. Second, on the Taiwan side, I think Taiwan would be in a better position if the society and the political system was more unified. Now, there's going to be disagreements because this is a complicated set of problems. So you can't expect people to agree. But I think that there is more areas of common ground. And the more that common ground is exploited between blue, green, and white, if you will, the more likely it is that Taiwan would not be so much on the defensive in cross-strait relations.
卜睿哲先生说，他对台海关系的前景感到悲观。观众朋友，您的观点呢？好，观点节目让我们分享不一样的观点。我是主持人唐琪薇，非常感谢您的收看，下次节目我们再会。